There's a lot of mountains in Korea, much more than England, much more than England. But I wanted to tell a story about a student I once met who asked me to correct an essay. And I thought I'd tell this story and show this walk up a mountain near where I live. And this walk, here you can see the start of the mountain, will illustrate a point. It's a mountain walk. But first of all, the student asked me to help her with an essay. And the subject of the essay was overcoming hardship. So her teacher had asked her to write an essay illustrating that point, the subject of overcoming hardship, finding a way around a problem or over a problem, and what did she learn from solving that problem? And this was her essay. And I read the essay and it was really very good. And the essay was about her new school. She had to change schools, and her new school was at the top of a mountain. And so she said to me, well, in the essay, she described how every day she took on this hardship of going up the mountain and getting to school. It didn't matter what the weather was or how she felt. Each day she would go up the mountain to this new school. And I was really impressed by the essay, and I helped her by making some suggestions and by emphasizing this journey by talking about how difficult going up the mountain was and how it was daunting. It was really difficult and it's a hardship, and she never gave up, and she would go up this mountain and get to school. So she finished the essay, handed it in, and that was that. And then I remember another colleague took me to a restaurant, and we went to this local, this different neighborhood, this restaurant. We went to a restaurant. And as we were going towards the restaurant, my colleague sort of pointed at a building and said, "Oh, that's the new school." And that's the school, that was the school of the student who had changed schools and had written the essay. And I said, "But I thought it was on top of a mountain." And my colleague said, "No, she meant a hill." And I felt quite bad because I'd helped her write this essay and I'd really bigged up the mountain. So I dread to think what her teacher thought. I really bigged up the mountain side of the story, but it was a hill, not a mountain. And I hear this quite often in Korea. This mountain is a word used a lot, and hill, we tend not to use that word so much. So this is my mountain, this is my local mountain, and I'm now almost at the top of the mountain here, and it's taken me a couple of minutes. So I felt quite bad about that essay. Never mind. But Korea does have a lot of mountains. Korea is very mountainous. I think it's about 70% mountainous. So I will do some walks up some mountains, some real mountains, not just this one. That's my intention. And also I wanted to talk about the channel and say that I will do more walks away from my local area. So I'm still staying in my local area. I suppose in some regard, because of coronavirus, I'm not really going to Seoul. I'm staying in my local area, which is now we're looking at. I'm just outside of Seoul, in another city. But yeah, the intention was to do lots of walks in Seoul, which are probably more things to look at. Many more things to look at. That'll be something for the future once the issue of coronavirus has been subdued, or once it goes away, when it changes. I don't know how long that will be. Otherwise, I would just wear a mask. But I think there are mountains all around Seoul which I would want to walk, and all the various hiking trails which I intend to do for interesting walks. But also probably my preference is to walk in the city. I also like to hike in the city and go for walks. There's some fabulous walks in Seoul, and I intend to do those as well. As you can see during this video, lots of people out walking. This was very early in the morning. Lots of people out walking in this particular mountain range. But yeah, I was interested also about how many mountains there are in England. We don't have many mountains. We have, there's the famous Scafell Pike, which is, I'm not sure how high it is, but it's an official mountain. But I think we have about 70 or so mountains, but also in Wales and Scotland. They're mainly in Wales and Scotland, I think. We have mountains in, the most famous one in Wales is Snowdon, and the mountain in Scotland, the famous one is Ben Nevis. And you can do the three peak challenge, which is to climb all three mountains, Snowdon, Scafell Pike and Ben Nevis, in one 24-hour period. You must drive to 3 countries in 24 hours and climb 3 mountains. And I think it's really hard. A lot of people do it for charity as a challenge. It's really difficult. You have to have a designated driver, and the others in your group, you need to run up the mountains and run down again. So you need to be pretty fit to do it. But it's quite a famous challenge in sort of charity community, and people do it, as groups of friends. Okay, so now I'm coming down the mountain. When you go up the mountain, you have to come down the mountain. And then we had a little bit of snow as well here. And yes, so I will do some more walks in my local area. Some interesting subjects to talk about as well. Interestingly, I want to talk about things like selective empathy and critical thinking, and also Brexit, and more on the royal family. So I'll be talking about that, and coming up with some other subjects as well, about Korea and comparing England with Korea as well. Okay, so I'm down from the mountain, and I'll go and get a coffee. I'm exhausted.